I was not joking. So, you thought it was a joke? No, it's not a joke.
Max Verstappen really said what everyone was too scared to admit out loud. No, he wasn't joking. Not even a little. When he said he would dominate Formula One if he got behind the wheel of a McLaren MCL38, he wasn't throwing shade in a cute, polite way. He was practically holding up a neon sign that screamed, "Your car is better than my team's rust bucket, and I'd wreck everyone if I had it." And honestly, after the year Red Bull's having, he's not wrong.
I mean, we know how hard and how narrow our window is with the car. Now, then you get that question, what would you do in another car? Well, I give you an honest answer.
See, Verstappen's current ride, the 2024 Red Bull RB20, is about as stable as a toddler on roller skates. He didn't sugarcoat anything either. He admitted Red Bull's car has the handling window of a tightrope. Either you're on it perfectly, or you're falling flat on your face. Meanwhile, McLaren's upgraded machine basically pulled up to the grid, looking like a spaceship, and Verstappen had the nerve to say what everyone else was whispering, that he'd crush the championship if he swapped cars. You can almost hear the Red Bull PR team sobbing quietly in a corner.
But I also said in that same interview that is not going to happen anyway, so there is no need to speculate about it.
And just to make the entire F1 community clutch their pearls even harder, Max dropped this bomb during an interview where, 2 minutes later, he casually started talking about his pet turtle named Kamei. That's the level of disrespect he's operating on. 1 second, he's detonating Red Bull's reputation. The next, he's flexing how chill he is by talking about turtles like he's narrating a nature documentary. Meanwhile, the rest of the paddock was somewhere between shock, awe, and Googling how much it costs to break a Formula One contract.
Kun jij aan ons, aan het publiek, die dat met elkaar moet matchen, die twee dingen, kun je dat eens verklaren? Ligt dat dan helemaal aan jou? Aan jouw kwaliteit, aan jouw klasse?
Ik ben natuurlijk heel blij met wat ik doe. Ik wil er nog niet eens aan denken als ik in die andere auto had gezeten.
In die McLaren?
Had je mij niet meer gezien.
Max's 52-point lead in the Drivers' Championship probably felt like a nice cushion, until McLaren decided to drop a nuke in Miami, May 2024. Remember the Miami Grand Prix? That's when McLaren basically said, "Hey, let's stop pretending," and threw out a massive upgrade package for the MCL38. Red Bull fans are probably still waking up in cold sweats from it. Red Bull, the team that once looked untouchable, hasn't touched the top step of the podium since Verstappen's win at the Spanish GP back in June 2020. Months of absolutely nothing but finger-pointing and sad press releases.
Nee, dan was je al in Tokio geweest.
Misschien wel, ja. De Shinkansen naar huis.
Ja, had je die McLaren op die...
Red Bull's fall from grace would almost be funny if it wasn't so tragic. First, they tried blaming wrong development direction with the RB20, as if the car just got lost on its way to being fast. Then came the FIA's mid-season rule tweak on asymmetric braking, which pretty much closed the loophole Red Bull was allegedly abusing. Red Bull fans can argue all day, but let's be real. You don't cry this hard unless you lost something important, like your only competitive advantage.
Do you have any pets, Yuki?
Turtle.
You have a turtle? What's his name?
Kame Kichi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kamewachi?
Kame Kichi.
And while Red Bull was busy writing their list of excuses, McLaren was busy winning. They didn't just humiliate Red Bull once, they humiliated them so badly they leapfrogged them in the constructors' standings. Watching McLaren blast past Red Bull in 2024 is like watching someone steal your lunch money and then make you say thank you. Red Bull's engineers must feel like they're playing Minecraft while McLaren's over there launching rockets.
It is nerve-wracking from in the car as it looked from outside?
It was tough, just pushing very hard, especially on the last set. The two McLarens were pushing me very hard, and it was a lot of fun out there. Not easy, of course, to manage the tires, but...
Of course, Max being Max, he wasn't about to let all the clowns in the paddock have the last laugh. So he clapped back, and hard. He basically told McLaren and the rest of the gossip brigade to sit down and stay quiet. He called the rumors about Red Bull's secret cheating methods bizarre and stupid. And honestly, can you blame him? At this point, People were making up theories faster than Netflix releases bad F1 documentaries.
For Max, you just said then about the clear issues you've still got. What does that mean in terms of the challenge of keeping two very quick guys behind you tomorrow?
It will be very hard, but that's fine. I mean, I'll try to do my best. I mean, so far this season, we have not been able to fight them, but it's not like, we just sit there and accept it. We try to do the very best.
Max didn't stop there, though. He said he doesn't even bother reading F1 news because, in his words, people usually just tell him when someone says something stupid. And wow, McLaren CEO Zak Brown must have felt that one in his soul. Zak had been running around making noise about Red Bull being destabilized and toxic. So Max, with all the patience of a man explaining Wi-Fi to a boomer, told Zak Brown and every other loudmouth to maybe fix their own messy teams before talking trash about Red Bull.
You can see the difference, but if Max was in a car that's not capable of winning, he'll get a little bit more out of it because of how awesome he is, but he's not going to take a car that's 15 and win it. You got to have the car. Then you also have to have.
And the best part? Max made it sound like he was doing McLaren a favor by not paying attention to them. Imagine being called irrelevant by the guy you're desperately trying to beat. Verstappen even threw a little side-eye by hinting that McLaren's nice guy act is faker than a Hollywood smile. In his words, stirring up stories is just part of the F1 game. Translation, keep running your mouth, you're still finishing behind me.
And we will give it a good fight tomorrow if we can. But at the end of the day, it's a very long championship, and you need to keep on scoring points whenever you can in the best way possible, naturally. But at least we're starting up front, and we'll see where we go.
But don't think Verstappen's losing sleep over any of this. Nope. He straight up said he's too busy defending his 52-point championship lead to care about anyone's feelings. And honestly, flex harder, Max. The man basically said, I have bigger problems than you, with the energy of someone ignoring a fly buzzing around their champagne glass. Meanwhile, Red Bull's management is probably holding emergency therapy sessions, watching your golden boy drag your entire operation through the mud while casually mentioning his turtle like nothing happened. Legendary behavior. McLaren might have upgraded their car, but Max just upgraded the level of disrespect in Formula One.
Yeah, I'm incredibly happy. It started off quite tough this weekend, but we didn't give up. We kept improving the car, and today, it was in its best form. And of course, starting on pole, that really made it possible, to win this race.
And honestly, Red Bull deserves every second of it. You can't show up with a 60-year-old wind tunnel, a whiny press strategy, and a development plan written in crayon, then act shocked when someone calls you out. McLaren isn't innocent either. One good upgrade and suddenly they're acting like they discovered fire. Let's be real. One collision in Austria and Lando Norris was crying harder than Red Bull's aerodynamics team. Both teams need a reality check. Red Bull needs to remember that dominance isn't permanent when you're building your season on duct tape and nostalgia. And McLaren needs to realize that one hot streak doesn't make you king of the world. Verstappen just said what everyone's been thinking for months. And he did it so casually, so brutally, that the entire paddock had no choice but to sit back and take it.
What he might need to do on the settings, or if he's not sure, ask GP on the radio what he should be doing, but highlighting the problems. Reading the race.
Because at the end of the day, when Max Verstappen says he would dominate the grid with a McLaren, you know he's not bluffing. He's laughing at the mess around him, chilling with his turtle, and still winning races in a car that handles like a shopping cart with a busted wheel.
He can drive the car and has so much processing power left over that he can then think a lot about how he's driving the car, how he's looking after the tires, how he's...
McLaren's MCL38 didn't just get an upgrade after Miami. It basically evolved into the final boss of Formula One. They slapped on some aero magic, clicked save, and suddenly the car was winning drag races against Red Bull's RB20 like it was a Sunday stroll. Meanwhile, Red Bull, the once great empire, stood there with their mouths open like someone just unplugged their Wi-Fi. And then the real comedy started. Turns out, Red Bull's world-class setup is running on a literal museum piece, a 60-year-old Cold War-era wind tunnel. I'm not even exaggerating. Christian Horner himself called it a relic, which is corporate speak for "our facilities belong in a history documentary." How are you going to dominate a modern sport when your tech is older than color television? It gets even better. If the temperature inside Red Bull's precious wind tunnel drops below 5 degrees Celsius, the thing basically freezes up like a boomer trying to use TikTok. And if it goes above 25 degrees, well, the results go wonky. So basically, unless they somehow race in a climate-controlled bubble, Red Bull's aerodynamics team is just out there praying for the weather to be slightly chilly, but not too chilly. No wonder McLaren's new MCL38 is out here taking souls, while Red Bull's RB20 is acting like a second-hand lawnmower. Meanwhile, McLaren's sitting pretty with all the latest tech, flexing like they just discovered fire. Red Bull's car looks less like a world champion and more like a rejected Hot Wheels prototype. And the cherry on top? Horner flat out admitted that Red Bull can't even afford to fix any of this because they're too busy pinching pennies for their grand 2026 Red Bull Ford engine, which, let's be honest, doesn't even exist yet. Good luck surviving till then, when you can't even survive McLaren's weekend flexes. Speaking of surviving, let's talk about Red Bull's brilliant master plan for the future. Ready for it? If the big upgrade they're bringing this weekend doesn't work, they're not just in trouble for this year. They're screwed for 2025, too. Because, surprise, the cost cap rules mean they can't redesign the RB20 from scratch. Nope. They're stuck polishing the same broken toy and pretending it's new. Christian Horner actually admitted it himself like it's no big deal. He said next year's car will be just an evolution of this year's, which is basically corporate code for "we gave up." That's not a strategy. That's waving the white flag before the war even starts. Red Bull's entire 2025 season is pinned on a car designed in a building that might as well have been used to test fighter jets in the 1950s. Meanwhile, McLaren's over there adding another zero to their tech budget and laughing all the way to the podium. Verstappen's relaxed act is cracking as McLaren steamrolls Red Bull's crumbling empire. One smart upgrade turned Red Bull from gods to headless chickens, duct taping excuses together. Unless a miracle falls from their ancient wind tunnel, Verstappen's lead will vanish and McLaren will be waving goodbye while Red Bull chokes on dust. And if you enjoyed watching Red Bull's meltdown as much as we did, smash that subscribe button and stay tuned. It's only getting messier from here.